a story in mind to tell. And it was about my, I told Rich about it, it was about my several failed businesses before my school, in the restaurant business I'm doing right now. And I probably put in about $1 million of my own money into these companies. That money's gone, right? $2 million of other people's money is gone, so I figured, oh, there's not much of a bigger fiasco than that, right? But when I came over here and now I'm listening to your guys' story, instead of talking about that, which is kind of depressing for me, maybe not so much of a fiasco, but if you have later on a theme on stupidity, then I'll tell that story. So you're probably wondering, how did I get my name, Sid? I mean, how many other Korean Sids do you know?
0.
Exactly. So I'm going to tell you a short story, how I got my name, before I go on to the main story for today. In high school, I grew up in... Wait, I have to give them time to adjust their eyes for size, bitch. Anyway, so that doesn't count yet. So, let's see. I was entering high school. I grew up in Southern California. St. Bonaventure High School. I wanted to play football. And so in the summer, we had weightlifting and training. And for a freshman, I was a pretty big guy. So I was in there working out, and my coach came, and my coach, Mr. Spinner from Alabama, big football country over there, right? So Mr. Spinner comes up to me and goes, hey, you're a minor big freshman. I'm like, oh, thank you. What's your name? And I went by Shinhan, my Korean name back then. I didn't have Sid, right? So Shinhan, like the English pronunciation, right? Shinhan. He's a what? Shinhan. Shinhan. She, what? Boy, don't you have a nickname or something? And I said, well, I guess you can call me Shin. And then he said, oh, Sid? Why didn't you say so in the first place? Sid, see how easy that is? And I'm like, okay. So, you know, maybe 2 days later, we're finally in our helmets and run around on the field. And at the time, there's so many people trying out. My high school is really good in football. A lot of people try out. 100 people, 120 kids on the field. So to keep us separated or to identify us, they would put masking tape with our name on it. And he would write Sid. So basically, in front of all these hundreds of people, he's saying, Sid this, Sid that, Sid this. All my friends are, well, now they're my friends, but I just met them. They're calling me Sid, Sid. We go into school and like, hey, Sid. So it just stuck. So that's how I got my name. And now it's my official middle name. And most people know me as Sid. So I remember in high school I would have birthday parties at my house. And then my junior high school friends would come. And my high school friends would come. And they would be talking about Sid. And my junior high school friends would be talking about Shinhan. And they're like, who's Sid? And my high school friend, who's Shinhan? And then they didn't know, right? So anyway, that's how I got my name. So that's not the main story, by the way. While I was coming over here, and I was thinking fiasco. I mean, it's got to be really easy. There's so many fiascos in my life. I mean, just parking out front was a fiasco today. It took me 20 minutes to park today. This month for me has been actually a month of fiascos. Kian probably couldn't attest to that. I lost my tab in a plane on the way to San Francisco. Then I lost all my email for the last 5 years. Then, yeah, that wasn't enough. I decided to just lose a computer. I left that in a taxi, lost all my files because I'm too lazy to back up. Then I herniated a disc about 10 days ago, so I can barely stand. And now you can hear from my voice, I got a really bad cold. So, yeah.
This is the best story ever.
Month of fiasco. And then I thought, well, why don't I talk about, let's see, coming to Korea. I'm sure all of you, I grew up in the States. I went there when I was 4. I went to elementary school there, kindergarten, middle school, high school, college, grad school, and came here when I was an adult for the first time in 20 years or whatever, 25 years. So when I came back, I had a lot of crazy scenarios. And that, for most of you guys, all right, the non-ethnic Korean people, back when I came back in 95, I think, was the first time I came back, 95, 96, there weren't a lot of foreigners here, and there were actually not a lot of Korean Americans or Korean Canadians or Korean whatever here, right? Gyopozo, here goes my voice. So, not a lot of people speaking English on the streets, even here in Itaewon. So I remember I came with my mom for the first time, and we were riding in the back of a cab, and my Korean was really bad. It's still pretty bad, but it was really bad at the time. And I spoke like a 4-year-old, basically, right? So I'm like, 엄마, 이거 뭐야? 이거 뭐야? It's like, mommy, what's that? What's this? And I'm 28 years old, right? And the taxi driver is doing all these. So we get out of the taxi, and I get out first, and the taxi driver, when he gives it the change to my mom, he says, "Oh, 너무 아쉽습니다." What that means is, "Oh, I feel really bad for you." And she's looking at it, and like, "Why?" It's like, "Oh, I mean, he looks normal. I'm really sorry." So, I mean, that happened so many times. And then I finally got my driver's license in Korea back in '96, and I was driving around. And back then, they didn't have those, blow in the breathalyzers. Back then, they would talk to you, right? And then I'd open the door, they'd be like, 네, 안녕하세요. I'm like, 안녕하세요. 아니요, 진짜 나 술 하나도 안 먹었어요. Every time. Just like that. Anyway, but that's not the story I'm going to tell. Okay, this one, we have really poignant stories, meaning of life, life philosophies. We have really fun stories about your idol from childhood, right? We have I don't even know what category to put this in. Anyway, we have these things too. But mine, I figured, I'll just go for shock value. I'll try to gross you out. When I was in high school, my senior year in high school, this was maybe a week, 10 days before I was going up to college for the first time. I went to UC Berkeley up in the Bay Area. Excuse me. And there was a big graduation party at one of my friend's house, so we went there, my girlfriend at the time, and we went there. And we walk in, and we notice all of these strange-looking people, right, that I didn't recognize. And it ended up being a local gang members heard about the party and came to that party. Yeah. Get this, they're called the Pierpont Rats, and I'm not lying. They are surfer gangsters. I swear. Talk about fusion, right? So, these surfer gangster guys, right? These surfer gangster guys, and they're all infiltrated the party, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And I see some of my friends in the backyard. Anyway, something happened, and a little scuffle happened, and I went in to protect my friend. Next thing you know, there's about 30 of these guys on top of us just, beating us silly. So I can't remember exactly what happened, but somebody pulled me from out of there, threw me out the side, and said, "Get out of here, they're gonna kill you, you gotta go, and I ran. So I ran across the street, and I was like, I didn't know what was going on, so I ran across the street, down a few houses, and started knocking on whatever door I could find. Pounding on the door, this lady opens her door, and God bless her, she actually let me in. Oh my goodness, come in. I'm like, there's a riot down there, you gotta call the cops. So she takes me into the bathroom, gives me her towel, and I could feel blood coming from my nose. So I figured, I got a bloody nose, maybe a couple of black eyes or whatever. And I had this over my face like this towel, until I go into the bathroom. She's like, you better clean up, we'll call the police. So I take the towel off, look in the mirror, and my nose is over here. Literally broken smashed into a million pieces, at least an inch to the left. To the left when I look in the mirror, right? Over here. I was like, oh my goodness. So I go to the emergency room, they're like, oh, it's mush, you can't really do much about it. The doctor is kind of like just, kind of estimating where it should go and putting it together, like silly putty, And he's like, well, there's nothing we can do about it. Just kind of let it heal. And then I'm like, okay, let it heal, and then what? Oh, then we'll have to break it again, no problem. I was like, oh, okay. So I had this thing on in my nose, and I let it set again. But I had to go to college, right? So, for Koreans, college is like this huge thing. The whole family packs up. My dad, mom take vacation. We hop in the car, my whole family, drive up to Berkeley, right? Yeah, that's a big thing here. So we go up there, and we're looking for a doctor around Berkeley. We don't know the area very well. And we're looking, we don't know internet or anything like that, right? I no Siri, hey, no doctor, no, nothing like that. So we're looking through the yellow pages, looking for a doctor. It's a weekend, most of them are closed. We can only find one doctor's office open. So we go there and said, okay, this is the story. His nose is broken. It's set over here. We have to re-break it. We open up the door, and this is literally at least 80 years old. Right? This doctor is at least 80 years old. Well, let me see. Come on in, sit down, right? So we're sitting in the chair. And it's just like a dentist chair. Just a lounge. And I'm sitting there, and he goes, well, I think, let's see, first we're going to have to use some anesthetic, right? And I thought he was going to put me to sleep maybe, or something. He just instead, he pulls out this liquid, I think it was liquid cocaine, right? And I was like, what? Oh, this is really good. and then, you know, I'm like, okay. So no, I'm just going to rub it up in your nose. He takes out this thing, this stick that's like this long, right? And then he gets a cotton ball and makes a little Q-tip, right? A swab, handmade swab. But it's this long, and I'm like, why is that so long? My nose only is, you know, maybe an inch or two up in here, right? So, dips it in there and he's rubbing around. Oh, that's not too bad. Rubbing around. He's going like this up in my navel cavity. As you know, the navel cavity goes all the way up. It felt like it was sticking it in my brain, right? It's like this, and then the other side, like this. And so, yeah, I know, it's gross, huh? So I'm just sitting there going, oh my gosh. And I go, okay, and he's like, oh, all right, that worked pretty good. Now it's time to break your nose again. I said, well, how's he going to do this? And I'm thinking this fancy contraption coming down, you know, fucking me up and all this stuff, right? He opens up a drawer in his desk and pulls out needle-nose pliers. Yeah, needle-nose pliers. He's like, better hold on. He's like, hold on, don't move now. And then he's like, snap! And I literally went blank for like a couple seconds there. You know? And I woke up and he's like, oh, okay. And I said, well, what happened? He's like, oh, that'll work, right? And so I got up, went to the mirror, and this was the result right here. So he put it back in place and prepared. So that's my story for today.